The delivery girl heard a child screaming and couldn't walk away. She burst past the failing doctors and saved him with her grandmother's folk remedy in seconds. What she didn't know, the boy was a Mafia-Bosse's only heir. And now, she couldn't leave until she found who was trying to finish him. The crystal chandelier above the master bedroom swayed slightly, disturbed by the frantic movements of 12 people crowding around a single hospital bed. But this wasn't a hospital. This was the Russo estate. 15,000 square feet of marble floors, oil paintings worth millions, and secrets buried deep enough to never see daylight. None of that mattered now. 8-year-old Luca Russo was dying. His small body convulsed violently against the silk sheets, back arching unnaturally as foam gathered at the corners of his mouth. Monitors beeped in chaotic rhythms, their sounds mixing with the urgent voices of doctors who'd flown in from Switzerland, Japan, and Johns Hopkins. Epinephrine now. Dr. Morrison barked, his hands shaking as he prepared another injection. He'd performed surgery on presidents. He'd saved senators. But this child, this one fragile boy, was slipping through his fingers like water. Dante Russo stood at the foot of the bed, a mountain of a man in a custom suit that probably cost more than most people's cars. His knuckles were white around the bedpost, the wood creaking under his grip. At 40, Dante had built an empire. He controlled half the city's ports, owned judges, had politicians in his pocket. Men feared him. Rival families wouldn't dare breathe his name without respect. But right now, watching his only son suffer, Dante Russo was just a father, helpless and drowning in terror. "What's happening?" His voice was dangerously quiet, the kind of quiet that came before storms. "You said the treatment would work." Dr. Morrison didn't look up, too focused on checking Luca's vitals. "The seizures aren't responding to medication. His body's rejecting everything Then try something else." Dante's roar shook the room. A nurse flinched. 2 specialists exchanged worried glances. They'd lost count of the treatments they'd tried over the past 3 weeks. Experimental drugs. Cutting-edge procedures. Ancient remedies. Nothing worked. In fact, Luca only got worse. "Mr. Russo." Dr. Morrison finally met his eyes, and Dante saw something there that made his blood turn to ice. Resignation. "We've exhausted every option. His organs are starting to fail. I don't think he'll make it through the night." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Dante's hand moved to his waistband, where his Glock rested. His fingers wrapped around the grip. "Let me make something crystal clear, Doctor. If my son dies, you die. Every single one of you in this room dies. You understand? It wasn't a threat. It was a promise." Dr. Morrison's face went pale, but before he could respond, Luca's monitor began shrieking. The boy's eyes rolled back, his body going rigid. "He's crashing. Get the defibrillator." The room exploded into chaos. Doctors shouted orders. Nurses scrambled. Medical equipment clattered. And through it all, Dante stood frozen, watching his son die in front of him. He'd killed men, destroyed families, built his empire on blood and fear. But he couldn't save his own child. A knock on the door went unnoticed at first. Then another, more insistent. "Not now," someone shouted. The door cracked open anyway, and Maria, the head of kitchen staff, poked her head in nervously. "Mr. Russo, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but get out." Dante's voice was a thunderclap. Maria flinched but didn't leave. "Sir, the herbal delivery is here. For tonight's dinner. She says she needs a signature, or she can't leave the—" "I don't give a damn about dinner." Dante turned on her, and Maria stumbled backward. But she'd worked for the Russo family for 20 years. She knew when to push. "I know, sir. I'm sorry. I'll send her away. I just thought." The chef ordered special herbs. Medicinal ones. From that organic farm you approved last month. For Master Luca's special meals. Something in those words made Dante pause. Medicinal herbs. They'd tried everything else. Luca's diet had been carefully controlled, supervised by nutritionists and specialists. Before he could respond, A woman's voice drifted up from the hallway. "Is everything okay?" I heard shouting. Then came the sound that changed everything. Luca screamed, a raw, agonized sound that didn't belong to a child. It was the sound of pure suffering. And Anna Carter, standing in the hallway with a crate of fresh herbs in her arms, felt that scream pierce straight through her chest. She didn't think, didn't hesitate. Anna had spent 32 years learning to mind her own business. As a single mother working 3 jobs just to keep her daughter fed, she'd mastered the art of keeping her head down. Deliver the packages, collect the signature, move on to the next stop. But that scream, that desperate, dying sound, it shattered something inside her. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. "When you hear someone suffering, Anna, you help. That's what we do. That's who we are." Anna dropped the crate. She pushed past Maria, ignoring the shocked gasp. She burst through the bedroom door, and the scene before her froze her blood. The enormous room, the desperate doctors, the machines screaming warnings, and in the center of it all, a small boy dying on white sheets. "Who the hell?" someone started. But Anna was already moving, her sneakers squeaking on the marble floor as she rushed to the bedside. A doctor tried to block her, but she ducked under his arm with the agility of someone who'd spent years dodging trouble. "Get her out of here," Dr. Morrison shouted. Anna didn't listen. She reached Luca's side and placed her hands on his small chest, feeling the violent spasms racking his body. His skin was burning. His lips were blue. His eyes stared at nothing. She'd seen this before. Not in a hospital. Not in any medical textbook. But 20 years ago, in her grandmother's tiny kitchen, when Anna's cousin had nearly died from. "Ma'am, you need to leave immediately." A security guard grabbed her shoulder. Anna spun around, and for the first time, she locked eyes with Dante Russo. The mafia boss stared at this stranger, this nobody in a delivery company polo shirt and worn jeans, who just charged into his son's room like she belonged there. "Touch me again, and you'll regret it," Anna said quietly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "That boy doesn't have time for your protocols." Dante raised his hand, stopping the guard. Something in this woman's eyes, a fierce, desperate determination, made him hesitate. "You have 30 seconds, Dante said. "Then I put a bullet in your head." Anna turned back to Luca. 30 seconds to save a dying child. 30 seconds to change everything. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work. Anna's hands moved with a certainty that surprised even herself. She'd watched her grandmother do this exact thing when Anna was 12 years old. Her cousin Danny had eaten something toxic, his body shutting down just like this boy's. The ambulance was 20 minutes away. Grandma Rose hadn't waited. "I need hot water, clean towels, and those herbs, the ones I just delivered. The rosemary, thyme, and the dried lavender." Anna's voice cut through the chaos with unexpected authority. Nobody moved. "Now," she barked. Maria disappeared, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. Dr. Morrison stepped forward, his face red with indignation. "Mr. Russo, this is insane. This woman has no medical training. She's going to kill your son." Dante's gun cleared its holster in one smooth motion, the barrel now pointed at the doctor's forehead. "My son is already dying. You said so yourself. So either she kills him or you did. At least she's trying something new." The doctor's mouth opened and closed like a fish. 19 seconds left, Dante said to Anna, his eyes never leaving the doctor. Anna pressed her fingers against Luca's neck, finding the pulse points her grandmother had taught her. The boy's heart was racing erratically, like a car engine misfiring. She applied pressure, gentle but firm, on specific spots along his throat and collarbone. "What are you doing?" a nurse whispered. "His nervous system is in overdrive," Anna said, her fingers moving to new pressure points along Luca's arms. "Everything's firing at once. I'm trying to reset it, like rebooting a computer." It sounded crazy. It probably was crazy. But her grandmother's voice echoed in her head. The body remembers how to heal itself, Anna. Sometimes it just needs a reminder. Maria burst back into the room, arms loaded with supplies. "I've brought everything." Anna grabbed a towel and plunged it into the steaming water, then wrung it out partially. She scattered herbs across the hot cloth, rosemary for circulation, thyme for the respiratory system, lavender for the nervous system. The sharp, medicinal scent filled the room immediately. "This is medieval nonsense," Dr. Morrison protested, but his voice was weaker now. Anna folded the herbed cloth and pressed it against Luca's chest, right over his heart. Then she began rubbing, slow, rhythmic circles that matched the pattern of a healthy heartbeat. Her other hand continued working the pressure points on his neck and arms.
1, 2,
3 she counted under her breath, her movements precise and deliberate. Luca's body jerked violently. "She's making it worse," someone shouted. But Anna didn't stop. She'd seen this before too, the body fighting back before it surrendered to healing. She pressed harder, her circles becoming more insistent. 4, 5, 6 The monitors were still screaming. Luca's face was still blue. Dante's finger tightened on the trigger. "Your time's up."
7, 8,
9 Anna's voice remained calm, even as sweat beaded on her forehead. Then, between one heartbeat and the next, something shifted. Luca's body went completely still. The room held its breath. For 3 eternal seconds, nothing happened. The monitors showed flat lines. The doctors looked at each other in horror. Anna kept rubbing.
kept pressing, kept believing.
And then Luca gasped. It wasn't the desperate, drowning gasp of someone dying. It was the deep, shuddering breath of someone waking up from a nightmare. His back relaxed against the mattress. His fingers unclenched. The blue tint began fading from his lips, replaced by the faintest hint of pink. The monitors started beeping in normal rhythm. Steady, strong,
Alive.
"Oh my God," a nurse whispered. Anna sagged with relief, her hands still on Luca's chest, feeling his heartbeat stabilize under her palm. It was working. It was actually working. Dr. Morrison stumbled forward, checking the monitors with wide, disbelieving eyes. His vitals are, they're stabilizing. Oxygen levels rising. Heart rate normalizing. This isn't. This shouldn't be. But it was. Luca's eyes fluttered open, confused, frightened, but alive. He looked up at Anna with the bewildered gaze of a child waking in a strange place. "It's okay, sweetheart," Anna whispered, her voice gentle now. "You're okay. Just breathe." The boy's small hand reached up and gripped her wrist weakly, as if she were the only solid thing in a tilting world. Dante lowered his gun slowly, his face unreadable. He stared at his son, breathing, conscious, alive, and then at the stranger who'd just accomplished the impossible. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, dangerously quiet. "Everyone, out." It wasn't a request. The doctors scrambled for the door, nearly tripping over each other in their haste to escape. Nurses grabbed equipment and fled. Maria hesitated only a moment before bowing her head and backing out of the room. Within seconds, the bedroom was empty except for 3 people: Dante, Anna, and the child she'd just saved. Anna started to rise, her legs shaky from adrenaline. "I should go check on my delivery truck. I left it."
Sit.
Down. Dante's voice stopped her cold. He moved around the bed like a predator circling prey, his footsteps silent on the thick carpet. Then he crouched beside Anna, bringing his face level with hers. Up close, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the fear he'd been hiding, the dangerous edge of a man who'd just watched his world nearly end. "Tell me who you are," Dante said, each word carefully measured. "Tell me how you just did what 1,000 doctors, specialists, and surgeons couldn't do. And tell me the truth, because I'll know if you're lying." Anna met his gaze steadily, even though her heart was hammering. My name is Anna Carter. I'm a delivery driver. I work for Fresh Harvest Organics, and I was supposed to drop off herbs and get a signature. That's it. That's all I am. Nobody is just anything, Dante said. Try again. I learned that technique from my grandmother, Anna continued, her voice stronger now. She was an herbalist. Grew up in a small town in Kentucky where doctors were 2 hours away. She had to learn how to heal people with what she had. She taught me before she died. Dante studied her face for a long moment, searching for deception. You expect me to believe a delivery driver just happened to save my son's life with folk medicine? I don't expect you to believe anything, Anna replied quietly. I just expect you to let me leave. Your son needs rest, and I have 12 more deliveries before my shift ends.
Dante almost laughed.
Almost. This woman had walked into a Mafia-Bosse's mansion, saved his dying heir, and now wanted to finish her delivery route like nothing had happened. You're not going anywhere, he said. And Anna realized her real problems were just beginning. Anna's fingers were still trembling when Dante pulled a chair directly in front of her, the legs scraping against the floor with an ominous sound. He sat down slowly, deliberately, his eyes never leaving her face. Let's start simple, he said. Where are you from? Detroit. Born and raised, Anna forced herself to hold his gaze, even though every instinct screamed at her to look away. Moved here 3 years ago after my divorce. Family?
A daughter.
Emily. She's 7-inch, Anna's voice caught slightly. She's at after-school care right now, waiting for me to pick her up. Dante tilted his head. So you're telling me a single mother from Detroit, working as a delivery driver, just happens to know ancient healing techniques that stumped the best medical minds in the world. It's not ancient. It's just forgotten. Anna wiped her palms on her jeans. My grandmother was born in 1940. Back then, people in rural areas had to figure things out themselves. She learned from her mother, who learned from hers. It was survival, not magic. Convenient story. It's the truth, Anna's voice hardened slightly. Look, I understand you live in a world where everyone has an angle. Everyone wants something. But I literally stumbled into this room because I heard a child screaming. That's it. I'm not a spy, not a rival family plant, not anything except someone who couldn't walk away. Dante leaned back, studying her. In his line of work, he'd learned to read people. Liars had tells, shifting eyes, nervous tics, stories that were too perfect. This woman was terrified, yes, but her fear felt genuine.
Raw.
Behind him, Lucas stirred slightly, making a small sound. Anna's attention immediately shifted to the boy, her whole body angling toward him protectively. That reaction, that unconscious, maternal instinct that was harder to fake. Can I check on him? Anna asked. Dante nodded once. Anna moved to Luca's bedside, her movements gentle as she checked his forehead for fever. The boy's eyes were closed now, his breathing steady but shallow. She pulled back his upper lip carefully, examining his gums, then tilted his head slightly to look at his tongue. Her brow furrowed. What? Dante was beside her in an instant. His tongue, Anna said quietly. See that discoloration? The slight greenish tint around the edges. Dante looked. He'd seen his son examined by dozens of doctors, but none of them had mentioned anything about his tongue. Then again, they'd been so focused on the seizures, the organ failure, the immediate crisis. What does it mean? Anna bit her lip, thinking. When my cousin got sick, his tongue looked like this. Grandma said it meant something toxic was in his system. Not an illness. A poison. The word hung in the air like a knife. Poison, Dante repeated, his voice flat. I could be wrong, Anna added quickly. I'm not a doctor. But the symptoms, the way he seizes, the way his body rejects every treatment, it doesn't feel like a disease. It feels like his body is fighting something that keeps getting reintroduced. Dante's jaw clenched, so, hard Anna heard his teeth grind. Keep talking. You said the doctors have been treating him for 3 weeks? When Dante nodded, Anna continued. Has there been any pattern? Any consistency to when the seizures happen? They're random. Morning, night, afternoon. Dante stopped. His eyes narrowed.
Wait. No.
They always happen within an hour after meals. Every single time. Anna's stomach dropped. That's not random. She watched Dante's expression change, saw the moment understanding crashed over him like a tidal wave. This wasn't some mysterious illness. This wasn't bad luck or God's punishment or any of the things he'd been telling himself at night. Someone was poisoning his son. Someone in his house. Someone with access to Luca's meals. Someone who'd looked him in the eye for 3 weeks while slowly murdering his child. Who prepares his food? Anna asked softly. The kitchen staff. Head chef Mario, 2 assistants. But every meal is supervised. Dante's hands curled into fists. Rocco oversees all household operations. He personally approves everyone on rotation near Luca. He checks every ingredient, He stopped mid-sentence. Anna saw something terrifying flash across his face. Not just anger. Something deeper. A betrayal so profound it physically hurt. Rocco, Dante whispered. He's my right hand. My oldest friend. We grew up together. He's Luca's godfather. I'm sorry, Anna said, and she meant it. She knew what betrayal felt like. Her ex-husband had cleaned out their bank account and disappeared with his secretary. But that was money. This was a child's life. Dante stood abruptly, pulling out his phone. His thumb hovered over the screen. Then he stopped.
Put it away.
If I'm right, he said slowly, and Rocco discovers I know, Luca becomes a liability. He'll finish the job before I can act, he turned to Anna. You're sure about this? No, Anna admitted. I'm a delivery driver who learned folk medicine from her grandmother. But those doctors couldn't figure it out in 3 weeks. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right 1 inch. Dante looked at his son, small, fragile, innocent, and something murderous settled in his eyes. If someone in my organization is trying to kill my heir, he said quietly, they're declaring war on me. And I don't lose wars. He turned back to Anna, and she saw the full weight of who he really was. Not a desperate father. A mob boss. You're staying here, Dante said. You keep Luca alive, and you help me find proof. You do that, and I'll make sure you and your daughter are protected for life. And if I refuse? Dante's smile didn't reach his eyes. You're a smart woman, Anna. You know there's no refusing. You walked into my world the moment you walked through that door. The only question now is whether you survive it. Anna thought of Emily, waiting at after-school care. Emily, who needed her mother to come home. I'll need to call my daughter, Anna said. Tell her I'll be late. Of course, Dante said. Right after you help me catch a traitor. The guest room Dante assigned to Anna was bigger than her entire apartment. Silk curtains framed floor-to-ceiling windows. A king-sized bed sat in the center, looking untouched and expensive. Oil paintings lined the walls, probably originals worth more than she'd earn in 10 years. Anna ignored all of it. She stood by the window, phone pressed to her ear, listening to her daughter's voice on the other end. Mommy, when are you coming? Emily's voice was small, worried. I'm so sorry, baby. I got held up at work. Mrs. Chen is going to take you home tonight and stay with you, okay? Anna had called her neighbor, practically begging. Mrs. Chen had agreed, bless her. But you promised we'd make cookies tonight. Anna's throat tightened. I know I did. And we will, I promise. Just not tonight. Tomorrow, okay? I'll make it up to you. Okay, Emily said, but Anna could hear the disappointment. After she hung up, Anna stood there for a long moment, staring at her phone. What was she doing? She should grab her keys, walk out that door, and never look back. But when she closed her eyes, she saw Luca's small face. That terrified look when he'd woken up, the way his tiny hand had gripped her wrist. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Come in, Anna called. Dante entered, followed by a man Anna hadn't seen before. He was shorter than Dante, stockier, with a boxer's build and a face that had seen too many fights. His dark eyes swept over Anna with open suspicion. This is Rocco Moretti, Dante said. My second in command. Rocco, this is Anna Carter. She saved Luca's life. Rocco's expression didn't change. So I heard. Quite the miracle. Something in his tone made Anna's skin crawl. Not gratitude. Not relief. Something else entirely. Just luck, Anna said carefully. Right place, right time. Funny kind of luck, Rocco crossed his arms. You just happened to know exactly what to do when 12 trained doctors couldn't figure it out. Rocco, Dante's voice carried a warning. I'm just saying, boss. It's suspicious. She shows up, and suddenly everything's fine? In our line of work, we don't believe in coincidences. Anna met his gaze steadily. You're right not to trust me. I'm a stranger. But your boss's son was dying, and now he's not. Maybe focus on that part. Rocco's jaw tightened. For a moment, Anna thought he might actually argue. But then he glanced at Dante and backed off. I've arranged for Anna to have access to the kitchen areas, Dante said. She'll be observing meal preparations for Luca, making sure everything is appropriate. The way Rocco's face hardened told Anna everything she needed to know.
He didn't like this.
Didn't like her. And definitely didn't like someone new having access to his carefully controlled domain. Is that really necessary? Rocco asked. We already have protocols. The protocols failed. Dante's voice could have cut glass. My son almost died under your watch, Rocco. So yes, it's necessary. The two men stared at each other, and Anna felt the tension crackling between them. Years of friendship colliding with suspicion and blame. Fine, Rocco finally said. I'll inform the staff, he turned to Anna. Stay out of my way. After he left, Dante moved to the window, looking out over the estate grounds. He's been with me for 15 years. Saved my life twice. Stood beside me when everyone else ran. And now you think he's trying to kill your son, Anna said quietly. I don't know what to think, Dante's voice was tired. But I need to know the truth. And I need you to help me find it. He turned around, pulling an envelope from his jacket. There's $50,000 in here. Down payment. Help me catch whoever's doing this, and you'll get 10 times that. Plus protection for you and your daughter. New identities if you want them.
A house.
Whatever you need. Anna stared at the envelope.
$50,000.
That was Emily's college fund. That was security. That was everything they needed.
She didn't take it.
I don't want your money, Anna said. Dante's eyebrows rose. Everyone wants money. I want your son to be safe. That's it, Anna's voice was firm. I'm not doing this for money or protection or anything else. I'm doing it because a child is being hurt, and I can help stop it. For the first time since they'd met, Dante smiled, a real smile, not the dangerous ones he'd been using. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the dumbest. Probably both, Anna admitted. Dante put the envelope away and walked to the door. Then he stopped, his hand on the frame. Let me make something clear, Anna. This isn't a negotiation. You're not a guest. You're not an employee. He looked back at her, and his eyes were cold again. You're mine until this is over. You find me the person who did this, and I'll let you walk free. You fail, or you try to run, and there won't be anywhere far enough for you to hide. We clear? Anna felt the weight of his words settle over her like chains.
Crystal clear, she said.
Good. Kitchen duty starts at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Rocco will show you the ropes. Dante paused. And Anna? Trust no one. Not the staff, not the guards. In this house, everyone has secrets. And some of those secrets are deadly. After he left, Anna sat on the edge of the massive bed, her head in her hands. What had she gotten herself into? Her phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chun with a photo of Emily, safely tucked into bed, holding her favorite stuffed rabbit. Anna saved the photo and held the phone close to her chest. Just find the proof, she whispered to herself. Find the proof and go home. But deep down, she knew it wouldn't be that simple. It never was. The kitchen at 5 a.m. was a different world. Anna stood in the corner, watching Chef Mario and his team move through their morning routine with military precision. Everything was labeled, organized, accounted for. Every ingredient went through Rocco's approval. Every meal was documented. It all looked perfect. Too perfect. "You're the miracle worker, huh?" Chef Mario said, glancing at Anna while he chopped vegetables. He was a small man with quick hands and suspicious eyes. "The one who saved the boy." "I just got lucky," Anna said, keeping her voice neutral. "Luck," Mario snorted. "In this house, there's no such thing." Anna spent 3 days watching, taking mental notes, learning the patterns. Rocco's men delivered supplies every morning at 6. The same 2 guys, Tommy and Victor. They wore gloves, handled everything with care, logged every item in a leather-bound book. The kitchen staff rotated, but certain people always prepared Luca's meals. Always the same protocols. Always supervised. And yet somehow, poison was getting through. Anna's breakthrough came from an unexpected source. On the 4th day, Dante brought Luca downstairs. The boy had been improving steadily, growing stronger each day. He still looked pale and fragile, but his eyes were brighter now. "Luca wants to thank you," Dante said, his hand protectively on his son's shoulder. The boy stepped forward shyly, holding a crayon drawing. It showed 2 stick figures, a small one and a taller one with yellow hair. "That's you," Luca said softly, pointing to the yellow-haired figure. "You saved me." Anna's heart melted. She knelt down to his level. "That's the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me. Thank you, Luca." "Can you stay?" The boy's voice was barely a whisper. "Everyone else pokes me with needles. You just make things better." "I'm staying as long as you need me," Anna promised, brushing his dark hair back from his forehead. From that moment, Luca attached himself to Anna like a shadow. He followed her around the kitchen, asking questions, telling her stories about his favorite cartoon characters. When meal times came, he refused to eat unless Anna tasted the food first. Dante allowed it, maybe because it kept his son calm, maybe because he was testing Anna's loyalty. One afternoon, while Anna was helping prepare Luca's lunch, the boy tugged on her sleeve. "Anna?" His voice was small. "Sometimes the food smells funny." Anna's hand stilled. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Luca looked around nervously, making sure no one was listening. "Not all the time. Just sometimes. Like when Uncle Rocco brings me special treats. They smell like the medicine Daddy gives me. The bitter kind." Anna's pulse quickened. "When does Uncle Rocco bring you treats?" "Mostly after dinner. He says they're vitamins to make me strong." Luca's eyes filled with confusion. "But they make my tummy hurt." Anna forced herself to stay calm, to keep her voice gentle. "Can you tell me what they look like?" "Little brown squares. Like chocolate, but not chocolate." Luca wrinkled his nose. "I don't like them, but Uncle Rocco says I have to eat them or I'll disappoint Daddy." Anna's mind raced. Rocco was giving Luca something directly, bypassing all the kitchen protocols. Something disguised as treats. "Luca, this is very important," Anna said quietly. "Don't eat anything Uncle Rocco gives you anymore, okay? If he asks why, tell him your stomach still hurts. Can you do that for me?" The boy nodded solemnly. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Anna crept back to the kitchen. The mansion was different in darkness. Shadows stretched longer. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like thunder. Anna's heart hammered as she used the key card Dante had given her to access the kitchen. She'd watched Rocco's routine carefully. Every night, he personally checked certain supplies. One cabinet in particular, always locked, always handled by him alone. Anna had stolen the key from his office that afternoon, her hands shaking the entire time. Now, standing in the dark kitchen with only a small flashlight, she inserted the key into the locked cabinet. It opened with a soft click. Inside were containers of supplements, vitamins, and specialty ingredients for Luca's specific dietary needs. Anna examined each one carefully, holding them up to the light, smelling them, looking for anything unusual. Then she found it. A jar labeled organic cacao powder for Master Luca's smoothies. But when Anna opened it and smelled the contents, her stomach dropped. It didn't smell like chocolate. It smelled medicinal. Sharp.
Wrong.
She dipped a spoon into the powder and examined it under the flashlight. Among the brown cacao, there were tiny specks of something else. Something greenish. Something that didn't belong. Anna pulled out her phone and took several photos. Then she carefully sealed the jar and put everything back exactly as she'd found it. She was closing the cabinet when she heard footsteps. Anna froze, her blood turning to ice. The footsteps were getting closer. Heavy. Deliberate. She turned off her flashlight and pressed herself against the wall, barely breathing. Through the kitchen doorway, she saw a shadow pass. Someone was patrolling. Checking. The footsteps paused right outside the kitchen. Anna's hand found a knife on the counter. She gripped it tightly, her palms sweating. The door handle turned slowly. Then, a voice in the distance. "Rocco, boss wants you upstairs." The footsteps retreated. Anna waited 10 agonizing minutes before she dared to move. When she finally slipped out of the kitchen and back to her room, her legs were shaking so badly she could barely walk. She locked her door and sat on the bed, staring at the photos on her phone. She had proof. Real, tangible proof that Rocco was poisoning Luca. But now came the dangerous part, telling Dante, without Rocco finding out first. Because if Rocco discovered what she knew, Anna understood with perfect clarity that she would disappear. They'd find her body in the river, or they wouldn't find her at all. She looked at her phone again, at Emily's picture, her daughter's innocent smile. "I'm sorry, baby," Anna whispered. "Mommy might have made a terrible mistake." Outside her window, she saw Rocco standing in the courtyard, phone pressed to his ear, his expression cold and calculating. And somehow Anna knew. He was already suspicious. The clock was ticking. Anna had 72 hours to figure out how to expose Rocco without getting herself killed. The problem was simple. She couldn't just show Dante the photos and the contaminated cacao powder. Rocco would deny everything, claim someone was framing him, maybe even suggest Anna planted the evidence herself. In a world built on loyalty and paranoia, her word meant nothing against a man who'd stood beside Dante for 15 years. She needed something undeniable, something public, something that would make Rocco condemn himself. The opportunity came on the 5th day. "We're having a celebration dinner tonight," Dante announced at breakfast, Luca sitting beside him, eating scrambled eggs. The boys' recovery. Family and inner circle only. Rocco looked up sharply. "Is that wise?" "Luca's still weak." "Luca's strong enough," Dante said, ruffling his son's hair. "And it's time to show everyone that the Russo family doesn't break. We survive. We thrive." He looked at Anna. "You'll join us, of course. You're the reason we're celebrating." Anna's mind raced. A family dinner. Everyone gathered. Rocco would be there, along with Dante's most trusted men, the capos, the enforcers, the ones who controlled the family's operations. "I'd be honored," Anna said. Rocco's eyes narrowed slightly, watching her. Anna spent the afternoon in the kitchen, ostensibly helping prepare the meal. But her real focus was on something else entirely. She told Chef Mario she wanted to create a special toast, a traditional herbal drink her grandmother used to make for celebrations. Mario, impressed by her knowledge, gave her free rein in the kitchen. Anna worked carefully, preparing individual glasses for each dinner guest. Most contained simple ingredients: honey, herbs, lemon, a touch of brandy. Harmless. Pleasant. But for Rocco's glass, she added something different. She'd raided the medicine cabinet in her room, crushing up tablets that would cause temporary symptoms: rapid heartbeat, sweating, muscle spasms. Nothing dangerous. Nothing permanent. But enough to mimic what Luca had endured. Then she added a tiny amount of the contaminated cacao powder from Rocco's locked cabinet, just enough to make his tongue show the same greenish discoloration Luca had displayed. It was a gamble. A huge, terrifying gamble. If she was wrong about Rocco, she'd just poisoned an innocent man. If she was right but the plan failed, Rocco would know she was onto him. Either way, tonight would end badly for someone. The dining room was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over a table set with china that probably cost more than Anna's car. 12 men in expensive suits took their seats, Dante at the head, Luca beside him in a booster seat, and Rocco directly across from Dante in the position of honor. Anna was seated further down, between two capos who eyed her with curiosity and suspicion. "Gentlemen," Dante raised his wine glass. "3 weeks ago, I thought I'd lost everything. My son was dying, and the best doctors in the world couldn't save him. Then this woman," he gestured to Anna, "walked into my home and did the impossible." Murmurs of agreement rippled around the table. Some men nodded respectfully at Anna. Others looked skeptical. "To Luca's health," Dante continued, "and to second chances." Everyone raised their wine glasses and drank. Anna caught Chef Mario's eye and gave a small nod. Mario stepped forward with a tray of small glasses, each containing Anna's special toast drink. "A traditional family blessing," he announced, "prepared by Miss Carter in honor of Master Luca's recovery." The glasses were distributed. Anna watched carefully as Rocco received his, the one with the slightly darker color, imperceptible unless you knew to look for it. Rocco raised an eyebrow at her. "You made this." "An old family recipe," Anna said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "My grandmother said it brings protection and reveals truth." Something flickered in Rocco's eyes. Suspicion? Fear. But he couldn't refuse. Not without insulting Dante. Not without drawing attention. Dante stood again, holding his small glass. "To family.
To loyalty.
To the blood we shed and the bonds we keep." "To family," the men echoed. Everyone drank. Anna counted in her head. The tablets would take 3 to 5 minutes to work. She timed it carefully. Conversation flowed around the table. Stories were told. Luca laughed at something one of the capos said. For a moment, it almost felt normal. Then Rocco's hand trembled. He set down his glass quickly, but Anna had seen it. So had the man beside him. "You all right, Rocco?" the capo asked. "Fine," Rocco said, but his voice was strained. Sweat beaded on his forehead. 30 seconds later, his face went pale. "Rocco." Dante leaned forward, concern creasing his face. Rocco gasped, his hand going to his chest. "I don't feel." His body jerked violently, exactly like Luca's had done. The glass fell from his hand, shattering on the expensive floor. Rocco collapsed sideways, his chair tipping over as convulsions racked his body. The dining room erupted in chaos. Men jumped to their feet. Someone shouted for a doctor. Dante was around the table in seconds, kneeling beside his oldest friend. "Rocco, what's happening?" Dante's voice was raw with panic. Anna stood slowly, her legs steady now. This was the moment. The point of no return. "That's what Luca endured," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Every single day. Every meal. Every seizure that nearly killed him." The room went silent. All eyes turned to Anna. "What are you saying?" one of the capos demanded. Anna walked to where Rocco lay gasping on the floor. She knelt down and carefully pulled back his upper lip. "Look at his tongue," she said. "See that greenish discoloration? That's not from my drink. That's from the same poison that was killing Luca. The poison that only one person had exclusive access to deliver." Dante stared at Rocco's tongue, then at Anna. Understanding crashed over his face like a wave. "The special treats," Dante whispered. "The vitamins you gave him." Rocco's eyes went wide with realization. He tried to speak, but his body was still seizing. Anna pulled out her phone and showed Dante the photos from the locked cabinet. "I found these 3 nights ago. the cacao powder contaminated with toxins. The same powder Rocco used to make treats for Luca. You set me up, Rocco gasped between convulsions. You poisoned me. With a harmless substance that mimics symptoms, Anna interrupted. You'll be fine in 20 minutes. Unlike Luca, who suffered for 3 weeks while you slowly murdered him. Rocco's face twisted with rage and fear. She's lying. She's trying to frame me. Boss, you can't believe. But Dante wasn't listening. He was staring at his oldest friend with a look of pure, cold betrayal. Why? Dante's voice was barely a whisper. And in that moment, everyone knew the truth. Rocco was guilty. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Rocco lay on the floor, his seizures beginning to subside, but his eyes were wild with the trapped desperation of a man who knew his life was over. Dante stood over him, face carved from stone, waiting for an answer that would never justify what had been done. Why? Dante asked again, his voice dangerously soft. Rocco's jaw clenched. Then, something shifted in his expression, resignation turning to rage. If he was going down, he wouldn't go down alone. Because you are weak, Rocco snarled, his voice gaining strength even as his body trembled. Your father built this empire on fear and blood, and you got soft. Caring about civilians, worrying about heat from the feds, putting your son above the family business. Luca's family, Dante said. Luca was the problem. Rocco lurched to his feet, wobbling but upright. The other capos instinctively reached for their weapons. With him gone, you would have remembered who you really are. You would have become the boss this family needs. So you decided to murder a child, Anna said, her voice cutting like a blade. An 8-year-old boy. Rocco's eyes swung to her, and the hatred there was pure and absolute. This is your fault. You should have stayed in your delivery truck, but you had to play hero. You had to. He moved with surprising speed for someone who'd just been convulsing. His hand went to his ankle holster, pulling a small pistol Anna hadn't known was there.
But he didn't aim at Dante.
He aimed at Anna. You ruined everything, Rocco screamed. The gunshot exploded through the dining room. But Anna felt no pain. Dante had moved faster than seemed possible, tackling Rocco from the side. The bullet went wide, shattering a window behind Anna's head. Both men crashed into the dining table, sending plates and glasses flying in every direction.
Look,
Anna shouted, spinning toward the boy. Luca sat frozen in his chair, eyes wide with terror, hands over his ears. Anna lunged for him, wrapping her arms around his small body and pulling him down beneath the table. Close your eyes, baby, Anna whispered urgently, pressing Luca's face against her shoulder. Don't look. Don't listen. Just stay with me. Above them, hell broke loose. Dante and Rocco grappled on the floor, both fighting for control of the gun. 15 years of friendship evaporated in the violence between them. Rocco landed a brutal punch to Dante's jaw. Dante responded by slamming Rocco's hand against the floor until the gun skittered away. Boss. One of the capos moved to help. Stay back. Dante roared. He's mine. The other men formed a circle, hands on their weapons but not interfering. This was personal, sacred. A betrayal this deep could only be answered by Dante himself. Rocco managed to roll free, scrambling for the fallen gun. His fingers closed around it just as Dante kicked him in the ribs with enough force to crack bone. Rocco gasped but kept moving, raising the weapon. Dante grabbed a dinner knife from the floor and slashed upward. Rocco screamed as the blade opened a gash across his forearm. The gun fell again. But Rocco wasn't finished. He pulled a second weapon from his waistband, this one bigger, a 9mm that had been hidden under his suit jacket. You should have let him die, Rocco shouted, blood streaming from his arm. The family would have been stronger. You would have been stronger. He fired. The bullet caught Dante in the shoulder, spinning him around. Several capos drew their weapons, but Dante held up his hand, a clear command to stand down even as blood soaked through his white shirt. Guards! Someone shouted toward the door. The dining room doors burst open and 6 security guards rushed in, weapons drawn, but they stopped short at the carnage. The shattered glass, the overturned furniture, their boss bleeding and locked in combat with his second-in-command. Nobody interferes. One of the capos barked at them. Boss's orders. Dante charged at Rocco despite his wounded shoulder, tackling him into the china cabinet. The crash was deafening. Porcelain exploded in every direction. Both men fell into the wreckage, trading brutal punches. Under the table, Anna held Luca tighter, singing softly in his ear, a lullaby her grandmother used to sing. Anything to drown out the sounds of violence happening just feet away. Rocco fought like a man possessed, knowing these were his final moments. He landed a vicious elbow to Dante's wounded shoulder, making the boss grunt in pain. Then he grabbed a shard of broken plate and slashed at Dante's face. Dante caught his wrist, twisting it until bones cracked. Rocco howled. "You poisoned my son," Dante said, his voice cold and final. "You looked me in the eyes every day while you murdered my blood. I was trying to save you," Rocco gasped. "You killed yourself the moment you touched him." Dante wrenched the gun from Rocco's weakened grip. In one fluid motion, he pressed the barrel against Rocco's forehead and fired. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Rocco's body went limp, his eyes staring at nothing. Dante stood slowly, breathing hard, covered in blood, some his own, most of it Rocco's. He looked down at the body of his oldest friend, his brother in everything but blood, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "Let this be a lesson," Dante said, addressing the room even though his eyes never left Rocco's corpse. "No one poisons my blood and lives. No one betrays this family and walks away. Loyalty is everything. Without it, you're nothing." The capos bowed their heads, a show of absolute submission and renewed allegiance. "Yes, boss," they murmured in unison. Dante finally looked away from Rocco. "Someone clean this up. Get Dr. Morrison to look at my shoulder." Then his eyes found the overturned table where Anna and Luca were hiding. His expression softened almost imperceptibly.
"Anna."
"Bring him out." Anna emerged slowly, Luca still clutched in her arms. The boy's eyes were squeezed shut, his small body trembling. Dante knelt down despite his wounded shoulder, reaching out to touch his son's face.
"Luca."
"It's over. You're safe now." Luca opened his eyes, saw his father's bloody face, and burst into tears. But they weren't tears of fear. They were relief. He reached for Dante, and father and son held each other while Anna stepped back, giving them space. Around them, guards began removing Rocco's body. The nightmare was finally over. The sun rose over the Russo estate 3 days later, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Anna stood in Luca's bedroom doorway, watching the boy sleep peacefully for the first time since she'd arrived.
No monitors.
No desperate doctors. No poison coursing through his small body. Just a child, breathing steadily, dreaming whatever 8-year-olds dream about. She'd barely slept herself. The image of Rocco's final moments played on repeat every time she closed her eyes. She'd seen a man die. Watched Dante execute his oldest friend without hesitation. This was the world she'd stumbled into. This was the price of saving one life. "You're up early." Anna turned to find Dante in the hallway, his arm in a sling from the shoulder wound. He looked tired but somehow lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. "Couldn't sleep," Anna admitted. "Keep thinking about everything." First time witnessing something like that. First time being the reason for something like that. Anna's voice was quiet. "If I hadn't exposed him, he would have kept poisoning my son until Luca died," Dante interrupted. "You saved him twice. Once from the poison, once from the poisoner. Don't carry guilt that belongs to Rocco alone." They stood in silence for a moment, watching Luca sleep. "The other families will hear about this," Dante said finally. "They'll know there was a traitor in my inner circle. Some will see it as weakness. Others will see it as strength, that I dealt with betrayal swiftly and personally. What do you see it as? Anna asked. Dante's jaw tightened. A reminder that trust is earned, not given, and that the most dangerous enemies are the ones who sleep under your roof. Luca stirred, his eyes fluttering open. When he saw Anna, his whole face lit up. Anna. He sat up quickly, reaching for her. Anna moved to his bedside, checking his forehead for fever out of habit. Good morning, sweetheart. How do you feel?
Good.
Really good. Luca looked between her and his father. Is it really over? Am I really safe now? Dante sat on the edge of the bed, his good hand resting on Luca's shoulder. You're safe. I promise you. No one will ever hurt you like that again. Because of Anna, Luca threw his arms around her, hugging her tightly. She saved me.
She's like
Aunt Anna. The title hung in the air, simple, innocent, profound. Anna felt tears prick her eyes. Aunt Anna. I like that. Then it settled, Dante said, something warm in his usually cold voice. Your family now. Later that morning, Dante called Anna to his office, a massive room with dark wood paneling and walls lined with books that probably had never been read. He sat behind an enormous desk, looking every bit the powerful boss he was. Sit, he said, gesturing to a leather chair across from him. Anna sat, her hands folded in her lap. Dante pushed a folder across the desk. That's the deed to a house in Westchester. For bedrooms, good school district for your daughter. It's yours, free and clear. Anna opened the folder, staring at the paperwork in disbelief. There's also a bank account in your name, Dante continued. $500,000 to start. More will be added monthly. You'll never have to work 3 jobs again. Emily will have everything she needs. Mr. Russo. Dante, he corrected. You've earned the right to call me Dante. Anna closed the folder and pushed it back across the desk. I can't accept this. Dante's eyebrows rose. Why not? Because Luca still needs me, and his voice was steady. You can give me all the money in the world, put me in a mansion, but that boy just went through hell. He needs stability, routine, someone he trusts watching over him. I have staff for that. Staff didn't save him. Staff didn't notice he was being poisoned. Anna leaned forward. I'm not asking for wealth or luxury. I'm asking to stay here in the kitchens, doing what I do best. Let me oversee his meals. Let me make sure every ingredient that enters this house is safe. Let me be the person he can count on. Dante studied her for a long moment. You want to be a kitchen worker? When you could have a mansion? I want to be the person who keeps your son alive, Anna said simply. Everything else is just noise. For the first time since they'd met, Dante laughed, a real, genuine laugh. You're the strangest woman I've ever met, Anna Carter. I'll take that as a compliment. It is. Dante stood, extending his hand.
all right.
You stay. You watch over Luca. You make sure he's safe. But the house and the money, they're yours anyway. For Emily. For your future. Consider it payment for a debt I can never truly repay. Anna shook his hand. Thank you. Dawn broke the next morning, and Anna found herself on the balcony outside Luca's room. The boy stood beside her in his pajamas, his small hand wrapped in hers, watching the sun climb over the horizon. It's pretty, Luca said softly. It is, Anna agreed. Every sunrise is a gift, a chance to start over. Will you really stay? Forever and ever? Anna squeezed his hand gently. As long as I breathe, no harm will come to you again. That's a promise. Behind them, the balcony door opened. Dante stepped out, coffee in his good hand, watching the two of them silhouetted against the golden light. He'd lost his oldest friend, discovered betrayal in his own house, nearly lost his son. But standing here, watching Anna protect Luca with the fierce devotion of a mother, Dante realized something. Sometimes the people who save you aren't the ones you expect. Sometimes they're just delivery drivers with kind hearts and grandmother's wisdom. Sometimes they're exactly what you need. Thank you, Dante said quietly, though neither Anna nor Luca heard him. The words weren't for them anyway. They were for whoever was listening, fate, God, the universe, for sending this woman into his life at exactly the right moment.
For giving him a second chance.
For reminding him that not everyone in this world wanted something from him. Some people, like Anna Carter, just wanted to help. And in Dante Russo's dark world, that was the rarest gift of all.